Looking to improve your squad on Ultimate Team? Visit IGGM.com for safe and reliable coins with the link in the description. Use my promo code NA to get 5% off. What's good, guys? Today we're going to be going over the 4-5-1, and the 4-5-1 is probably the best custom tactic, the best formation in the game so far. It's the one formation in the game that you can really replicate the 4-3-2-1 last year with. You have the 3 center midfielders, so having control, having passing options in midfield is going to be pretty easy for the most part. It's really well-rounded, so it's really good in defense, possession, attack, and yeah, like I said, this is probably my favorite custom tactic or formation so far this year. If you're looking for something reliable, something that you can stick to, I'd highly recommend these custom tactics. When it comes to player selection, it's really important that you have 4 defenders at the back line that are mainly specialists in terms of defense, and what I mean by that is including the left back and the right back. It's really important that you prioritize them having good defense. There's no overlapping fullbacks here or wing backs, anything like that, so it's just really important that you have good defenders. Make sure they're quick if possible. Try to make sure they can have 90 plus pace, if not 85 plus. Try to get the most pace you can get. Your 3 center midfielders, for example, right here I have Thuram, right here Iwobi, and Marcos Llorente. You're going to want a player that acts as the anchor. So they're going to sit back. They're not going to sit back, but they're going to be responsible for the center of the pitch. So you're going to want someone that's big and strong right here. But they need to be good with the ball at their feet, because in this custom tactic, all the midfielders get involved in the attack. So the perfect middle ground for that obviously is Thuram. And then your right center mid, you need someone here that is basically almost a winger or a striker or something like that, but can have that center mid role. And the reason why I say that is because in build-up, in transition, this player sometimes is going to act even as a winger. It just depends on the situation for the most part. So it's really important that you can have a player that's reliable in those type of positions, and Iwobi right there has been perfect for me. And then your left center mid, it can be something just like your other center mid, your center mid. This player, really important that you have them with well-rounded stats. Marcos Llorente is really good for that. It's really important that you have them be reliable in terms of shooting opportunities as well, because this player is going to be making a lot of runs forward, so they need to have a good shot on them, and of course good pace as well when they're making those runs. The same thing applies to Iwobi on the right, or the right center mid, and yeah, Llorente is perfect for that, to be honest. And then your 2 wingers right here, I mean, I'm sure it's self-explanatory what a good winger looks like. High pace, high dribbling, high shooting, and same applies for your striker for the most part. But to go straight to the custom tactics, you can see them right here with the code top left. You're going to have the build-up style set to counter with defensive approach high. However, the line height is going to be 61, and I'm pretty sure if you type in the code, you're not going to get the line height to be 61. The code system in this game doesn't work towards, I don't think it works towards the defensive approach when you have specific numbers. It might automatically default to 70, and if that is the case, just drop it down to 61. And the reason why I say that is because 70 post-patch has been a huge liability in terms of through balls and things like that. People are starting to abuse through balls, chip through balls, all these type of things, especially with big strikers up front like Haaland, Thuram. That stuff gets annoying. And 61 line height is the perfect middle ground basically for not only limiting the amount of times the through balls can occur, but also making sure that you're still pressing high up the pitch and still having that high pressure setup. When it comes to a build-up style on counter, it's really important that you do have a stick counter, because this custom tactic is a lot about making runs. You're going to see so many high quality runs, and the reason why I say that is because, as you can see right here, if you divide the pitch into 5 channels, so you have the central channel for the center mid, the center striker, and then you have the 2 center mids, so the right and the left center mid, and then the right mid and the left mid. They basically have 5 positions horizontally, and we want all of those players to make runs in every single one of those situations. So you want the striker to make a run in the center, you want the left center mid, the right center mid to make a run in their corresponding half spaces, and you want the right mid and the left mid to make runs in their spaces as well. And then the cherry on top is the fact that they're not all just making straight runs, because that's obviously not as productive or as efficient when we want to score goals. But they're going to basically like swap positions in the attack for each other. They're going to be making a lot of diagonal runs. That's the whole point of these custom tactics. You want to make runs that put them quickly as possible to being in front of goal, especially in the counter attack. So we're using build-up style counter just for that. And then to speak about the player roles, you're going to have the striker up here. Advanced forward attack is probably the best role in the game for the striker. It's the most well-rounded. It carries over certain duties and AI from basically all the other roles. So you still have elements of false nine, still have elements of poacher, still have elements of target forward as well, but it's packed all into one. So this is the most dynamic you can get and the most efficient as well. Both your right and left wing or mid are going to be on inside forward attack, and it's really important that you have them on these because all three of these players, your striker, your left mid, and your right mid, they're going to be getting a lot of goal scoring opportunities, if not chances to set each other up on the pitch. And like I said earlier, you're going to want players that are just really good in front of goal and in terms of build up as well. So, you know, if you can get someone with really good pace, rapid plus is a huge game changer for counter attacks. Pace is really important. If you can get that on these players right here, you're going to be, you know, you're going to have a lot of quick counterattacks. Your right center mid, playmaker roaming, and the thing that playmaker roaming does is, this is where I was talking about earlier, where we try to recreate the 4-3-2-1 last year. And if you remember the 4-3-2-1 from last year, you always had a center mid that acted almost as like a fake winger. So when one of your players up front was in the box, one of your center mids would occupy their position out wide. And that's exactly what we were able to do with playmaker roaming, because when the inside forward on the right enters the box or cuts inside, which is a part of their AI to cut inside specifically, but once they do cut inside, this playmaker roaming is going to naturally enter that space that is now left open on that right hand side. And it's really important that we have this, because if you've ever been in situations where you have 2 or 3 players at the edge of the box or inside the box and for some reason you still cannot penetrate, it's because you have a lack of width that basically causes the defensive AI to accommodate. And what I mean by that is, when you have a player that's wide open on the wider side of the pitch, then the defensive AI is going to have to keep that in mind, and it's going to open up holes in the other team's defense. Having this playmaker on roaming, he might not be doing too much in the attack, but he's going to enable his teammates so much more than if he didn't exist. And when he's not on the wide, like in the wider positions, the best thing about having a playmaker roaming is that for some reason they're always where you want them to be. So if you're in a situation, well, the point is, if you're in situations where you're like, oh shoot, I'm running out of options, you can't find someone to pass to, having a playmaker roaming is basically going to act as a player that will show up when you have no one to pass to. So this is just a really good player to have all around, especially in a structure where you have 3 center mids. I'll mention the center mid in a moment, but the same thing kind of applies to the playmaker attack right here. But the difference is this player is going to be a lot more centralized. He's not going to be drifting wide like the playmaker roaming. And I know there's multiple variations of the 4-3-2-1 from last year. And if you wanted to do like the more meta 4-3-2-1s, in theory, you could have this guy be the playmaker holding, or the playmaker, or sorry, not playmaker holding, what am I saying? I meant to say the center mid at holding, and then the same would apply to your center mid, because I know a lot of people used to have that double pivot midfield with the attacking center mid last year with the 4-3-2-1. However, in my 4-3-2-1s, I also played with having both of the center mids, or 2 out of 3 of the center mids involved in the attack one way or another. So that's this 4-3-2-1, or sorry, this 4-5-1 recreates the 4-3-2-1 that I used to use last year, if that makes sense. And with that, we'd have this one on playmaker. This way, this player is making runs forward whenever they have the space to do so. And that will come pretty often when, let's say, you're on the counter attack and your left wing right here is bombing forward, but they're a little bit stuck out wide. When they're stuck out wide, obviously they're going to have that right back on the other team tucking in with them. That's going to enable a half space for that playmaker to make a run in behind, if not set up as an anchor to receive the ball and then deliver the ball to a striker through the half space that's opened up in that defensive line now. So this player obviously is going to get a lot of chances in terms of creation. And what I mean by creation, I'm talking about direct assists, if not chances in front of goal. Now, for the most part, it's mostly going to be a striker, left wing, and right wing that are going to be scoring most of the goals, but it's really important that you can rely on these players to score as well. So if you have a player like Bellingham here, I found Bellingham to basically be like the perfect card for these type of situations. Bellingham, the hero card, Nakata, really just any center mid that is really good in attack. And then through him right here, deep lying playmaker is what I use to get them involved as possible in the attack without compromising our defensive stability. And what I mean by that is, I still want this player to be relevant in the attack. I still want this player to even make runs whenever there's space for him to do so. But at the same time, I want his first priority to be defense. So this player is still going to set up as an anchor in the midfield. He's still going to be sitting back for the most part. But if there's a chance for him to make a run, he will make a run. And through him, last week in league, scored a handful of goals for me just by making runs because there's space for him to do so. Now, if you want to put this player on holding, you can. That wasn't my personal preference because I wanted to get this player involved in the attack as much as I could. Holding will basically stay closer to the center defensive, or sorry, stay closer to the center backs, but that's not what I needed, to be honest. And the reason why I say that is because if I wanted a center mid to screen that defensive line for us, then I would rather use the 4-1-4-1, which I do plan to release custom tactics on with that being said. But if I'm going to use the 4-5-1, I want to have all three of my midfielders involved in the attack. That way, you know, we have possession and stability for the most part in the attack. But yeah, for me personally, deep lying playmaker was my preference. And then both your center backs are going to be on defend or defend. And then both your fullbacks, make sure you don't miss this part because it might be easy to miss this part. Here's the whiff ball structure before I forget, obviously. But both your left back and right back are going to be on fullback defend. And for the most part, this is really important on any custom tactic that you make because through balls can be so annoying, especially the wide through balls. So we want to completely prevent that possibility of happening. So when they're on fullback defend, they're just completely hugging the center backs, and that defensive line is going to be as consistent as possible. And you don't really need these players to attack to begin with because you already have 7 players in front of them that are primarily focused on attack. And when you have the ball, these players will tuck out wide again anyways, so unless you trigger runs with them, they're already involved enough. But yeah, those are the play rules. But yeah, like I said, so far this is probably my favorite custom tactic in the game. It's very reliable. I haven't had a situation where I had to change it in game at all. Just make sure obviously you have good players across the pitch because that's probably going to be a bigger difference towards your performance than any type of player instruction or custom tactic. And like I said earlier, these formations that have these 3 midfielders are going to be the meta for the most part, and I plan to make more of these, especially the 4-1-4-1. I believe these are the best non-5 back formations in the game, especially post-patch now. But yeah, other than that, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. If you guys have any questions, concerns, let me know in the comments down below. Check out my links in the description for my Twitch, Twitter, Discord, all of those things. Yeah, see y'all in the next video.